Joining us now is a man who is no stranger to the Observer. Let me say a pleasant good evening to the NTA political leader, Gary Griffith. Pleasant good evening to you.
Hi, good evening to you and to your many listeners.
Yeah, well, here it is. We have the chairman of the People's National Movement giving a grade A onto his party and his leader, saying that perhaps things could have been worse. They were able to manage all that took place during the COVID pandemic and basically steering us through all the stormy weather that we've gone through as far as stabilizing things in Trinidad and Tobago. You, of course, has made it clear that if this is truly as good as it gets, it says a lot about the low bar the PNM has set for serving the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Go right ahead.
Yeah, no, definitely. So it's the first time that I would agree with something Stuart Young has said. The nation will be shocked. Yes, I would also give PNM an A in their performance, but A as in being absent from duty. That is what the A is for. They've been missing in action. It is unbelievable that Stuart Young could have the audacity to disrespect the country as it is. And I recall a previous prime minister, that being someone by the name of Kamala Prasad Bisesa, in a period under the People's Partnership when it was the highest reduction in serious crime in 31 years. The economy, it was boosting, the unemployment was going down. The country felt that we were going in the right direction. We were seeing over 100 plus schools being built. We were seeing a National Operations Center, Community Comfort Patrol, Emergent Rapid Response Unit. We were seeing everything that was just happening in this country. And then when they asked the Prime Minister, how would you grade yourself as it pertains to performance? I remember those 6 words she will always say, there is always room for improvement. That is it. That is what we need in this country. We need leaders that can be humble and actually be honest. To have the audacity, it is right now, we are heading to 400 murders for so far. We are close to 400 before we hit the end of August. People will just do basic maths. At the end of the 8th month, divided by 400, it's 50. 50 multiplied by 12, which means we are heading to the most bloodiest year in our nation's history. The economy has virtually collapsed. People are suffering. We have a prime minister that has virtually destroyed any shred of possibility that we can have any investment, because no country, no citizen in the world will be foolish enough to invest in a country when a prime minister says that your intelligence unit is involved in a coup, a plot to stabilize the country, they're involved in a cult, they're involved in terrorist attempts. So with that, this is what we have seen. The country is demoralized. The police service, every single army, the protective services. And to have the audacity to still give an A, what he is basically stating is that this is as good as it could get. So to every single person who supports the RPNM, which is the Rowley PNM, because the PNM, there are many good people in the PNM who support the PNM. I am asking you to understand that if it is you decide to continue to go down this road of what we have seen for the last 9 years, come next year or later this year, after the general election, you vote for the same body, you are going to get the exact performance, the exact standard, because they're saying that they can't do any better. It is unbelievable that we have seen total failure. I mean, just look at the Olympics that has taken place recently. And we don't blame our athletes for it. Under the People's Partnership, we acquired 4 medals. We were doing so many things to make sure that our athletes can be properly prepared. And now what has happened 3 Olympics later under the PNM, we got 1 bronze medal in 2016, which was based on the piggybacking of what we would have assisted Keyshawn Walcott with in 2012. We've had Gova season in 2020 to 2024. Nothing done. We have a minister of sport who has never kicked a line. We have a minister of communication. The country doesn't even know who he is. He has never communicated. We have a minister of finance who can't even balance a budget. We have a minister of national security who doesn't even know his role and function is to secure the country. We have a prime minister who boasts to be chair of the National Security Council with no training, knowledge, experience, or qualification in national security or law enforcement. This is what we have to encounter. So I ask the country, we need to sit back and understand fully what Stuart Young has said. He is stating, this is as good as it could get. Is this what the country wants for another 5 years?
Yeah, but Mr. Griffith, looking at it, of course, one has to really and truly ask the question. I mean, is this what the PNM intends to campaign on? I mean, many people are saying that the audacity, the fact that they simply to be so bold-faced to give themselves a grade A and so disconnected of the reality that face many of the citizens. Does this mean basically that they simply do not care and expect to campaign on the fact that they have brought us through the roughest times and were able to manage this country as best as possible?
Well, that is as good as they could do. It is total incompetence. From 2015 to 2020, they did nothing. Nothing was built, no development, no investment, nothing at all. But what they put us, the poster boy in their manifesto was, look, we have failed. We are failures, but we gave you all Gary Griffith. I was a centerfold. I never thought I'd be a centerfold in a magazine in my life. I was a poster boy in the PNM manifesto for 2020. 2025, yet again, whereas the People's Partnership in 2015 would have stated all of the schools, the houses, the things that we would have acquired for Coast Guard vessels at 1.2 billion less than the OPVs. All of the things the People's Partnership could have stated, this is what we delivered. The PNM cannot state anything they have delivered, whether it is in health, the economy, tourism, sport, education, national security, nothing. So they can't, what is going to happen is this election, they are going to push their agenda of them thief, them corrupt, don't vote for them. And the race card is going to come in. That is what they're going to do because they can't speak about delivery. They cannot speak about performance. And therein lies the problem. We must make sure that we have persons who are willing to go that extra mile, who have the capability, the patriotism, the professionalism, the political will to be able to know what we can do to transform Trinidad and Tobago. The PNM will never have any debate with political opponents of them because they know that they do not have. They have been weighed, measured, and found wanting. So as much as Stuart Young could talk is total garbage, the decision and the grade will be decided on election day by their employers, that being the citizens of this country.
And it seems that the message that is being sent by most of the party executive, the top brass, is that a lot of it seems to be banking on what can Keith Scotland, Senior Counsel Keith Scotland, deliver on. I mean, last week we had Mr. Scotland here, and one of the questions we asked is that a lot of things that you had put into place, Mr. Griffith, was dismantled. And he said, listen, if it was good, we keep it. We keep the things that are good. But I mean, you are talking about an 11th hour. Why wasn't that decision made or mandate given by his boss and as well as the Minister of National Security boss, which is the Prime Minister? Why talk about what was good when Gary Griffith was there? We're going to keep it, yet it was dismantled.
Yeah, and that is where with Keith Scotland. Keith Scotland is not a bad guy. He really means well. I mean, he doesn't have a clue about national security. But what has happened is that, and he's not aware, he keeps going down that road, he's going to get fired. He does not understand the bitterness Keith Rowley has over Gary Griffith. If you notice, I am living rent-free in Keith Rowley's head. Every single time he speaks, it is to attack me. He's not attacking Kamala anymore. He knows that she has her 200 to 250,000 supporters, and they are going to stick with her. He is worried about that 100 to 150,000 of those floating voters, those voters who will break away from the PNM because they are fed up and disgusted, who may not vote for the UNC, and because of that, he will now try everything in his power. That's what he has done. He has tried several audits. He has tried everything. I have him in court for lies. I continue to expose his lies, his incompetence, and I'm showing that the things that we can and should do. So what Keith Rowley did, based on giving instructions to his Minimi, Euler, and Stewart, and then Hines, is to shut down and dismantle everything Gary Griffith did. The dormant vessels that the People's Partnership acquired, we have 6 vessels there. Those vessels were, as I said, it cost 1.2 billion less than the 3 OPVs and could have done more than what the OPVs could have done. Shut it down. They shut down the Rapid Response Unit from the People's Partnership government, the Community Comfort Patrol, the National Operations Center, the National Security Special Operation Group. I could go on and on. And then under my watch, they've dismantled the Gender-Based Violence Unit, the Social Media Monitoring Unit, the Special Operation Response Team, tasers, pepper spray, body cameras, the Emergency Response Patrol, the dashboard cameras on the vehicles, the Operational Command Center. Every single thing they've shut down, even with Tobago, all of the things we put in place, the Police Marine branch that was ignited has now gone flat. So every single thing has been shut down. If Keith Scotland keeps talking that talk about bringing back things that would have been implemented and successful before, he's going to lose his job because he does not understand the bitterness and hatred that Keith Rowley has. The quote from that great man, Patrick Manning, he did not lie. When a man cannot have his way, you will see hate, you will see animosity, you will see a man totally out of control. And he does not care if it affects the country.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier, of course, and let's clear it, the murder toll as it stands now is 392. Again, a lot is banking on what actions or whatever that can take place with Keith Scotland. Is there anything at this point in time? I mean, he's getting into, he's basically getting into the saddle, he's settling in, he's in Tobago, he's looking at what's taking place. Can anything be accomplished at this time?
Unfortunately not, because to turn around a country to reduce crime, you need to either have a Minister of National Security or a Commissioner of Police who would have the training, knowledge, qualification, experience in law enforcement. Keith Scotland doesn't have it. Hines certainly doesn't have it. Gayellle does not have it. So they're going to pray their way. They're going to talk about society. They're going to talk about parents. They're going to talk about schools. They're going to talk about crime begins with me. They're going to tell, and when you look at, you listen to the ambassadors for the police ambassadors on stations. That's all they talk about. They don't have the capability to understand the type of tactical, strategic operations that I would have been igniting that peg back the criminals, that put fear in the criminals. It wasn't accidental when it is you heard a few moments later. You go, somebody has a firearm, we will immediately intercept them. We will immediately, through the 482 Gary, through the online reporting, through the police app that had 485,000 hits. All of these things have been removed. It is going to be very difficult to reignite it. And even if he decides to do so, knowing what to do and how to implement it are two different things. So even if it is, if you bring back these things, I'll give you a perfect example. They shut down the Special Operation Response Team that had 100 highly trained tactical personnel similar to SWAT in the United States. You shut that door out of bad mind, and SWAT was what was putting fear in the criminals. When you hear Gary's voice, people panic, the criminals panicked. They changed that to something called the National Operational Task Force. People don't even know about it. They have been formed 3 years now, and their biggest achievement was to arrest an old man for selling school books on the pavement. And nothing against the officers. There's lack of leadership, which is what I would have done with SWAT, to turn them into an elite, highly trained, qualified, highly tactical unit, operationally driven, that was intelligence-led. Predictive policing was taking place to stop the crime from happening. So Keith Scotland, what I just spoke about in that 3 minutes, it is a different language to Keith Scotland. What he is doing is very cosmetic, which is good. He's walking around, waiting for photo ops, meeting people, but that is not the way that is going to reduce crime. You need to have, it is similar to, you put a Colin Imbert who does know how to balance a budget as Minister of Finance. If you put square pegs in round holes, you're not going to get the results. So as much as Keith Scotland is walking the walk, he has probably done more in walking and making himself accessible in 2 weeks than Fitzgerald Hines has done in his 3 years as Minister of National Security, because Fitzy is just naturally lazy. But at least Keith is trying to walk the walk. But you can't walk your way out of solving crime. You need to have the professional, tactical, operational and understanding to know how to peg back criminals.
On the issue of extortion, which seems to be something that the criminal elements are carving out as well, it's a home invasion. They've now moved on to extortion, where you people are basically saying, listen, I can't even have the entrepreneurial spirit here in my own country, the land of birth. I now either have to pay these criminals, I either have to close up shop, or I have to migrate to protect myself and my family. I mean, how much more, what do you expect as far as the extortion issue is going as we move forward?
All I can ask the country is to hold strain. Do not migrate. Hold on. It's not coincidental that 2018 to 2021, you ever heard about extortions? You ever heard about home invasions? You ever heard about kidnappings? We put an end to kidnapping. This can't happen. We would do it again, because we were actually kicking down doors, arresting kidnappers whilst they held the victim. Now we are back to somebody will pay the ransom, and then you'll see a front page, police rescue victim. They didn't rescue the victim, they paid the ransom. We stopped the ransom payment. I was not negotiating with criminals, whether the terrorists, kidnappers, whoever, persons involved in extortion. We were taking them down or taking them out. And that is how we dealt with it. Seems that Keith Rowley and Fitzgerald Hines seem to be a little sympathetic to the things that I was doing, which is why they've spent most of their time trying to stop law-abiding citizens from getting firearms, but not lifting a finger to deal with the criminal elements who have firearms. And let me also add, as it pertains to that unbelievable nonsense by Stuart Young to try to blow his own trumpet about COVID. Let me tell you, all that the PNM did is put 4 lackeys every single Wednesday to do a press conference to tell the country, 1, social distancing, 2, wear a mask, 3, get vaccinated, and 4, give a readout of the number of people killed and not the number of people that were lying in hospital beds. They did nothing. What caused the success would have been our law enforcement officers, 31 of them who died. because we had the leadership to ensure, whereas in other countries, there was not, in Trinidad and Tobago, there was not one instance of police excessive use of force, police abandoning their posts, police abuse of power, police would be there making sure citizens felt safe, they were adhering to the regulations, we did not abuse our authority, in contrast to what Keith Rowley was trying to influence me to do, which was to arrest people in their homes. That would have caused a total disaster. So the law enforcement officers, the nurses, the doctors, they were the ones who made it happen, not the PNM. And up to now, you know, they talk about ungratefulness. Keith Rowley and PNM have not once thanked the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service or the other members of the protective services, the doctors, the nurses. So to those 20, 30,000 persons and to your families and friends, to those 200,000, remember what you all would have done for this country during COVID, and not one word of thanks. Instead, they decided to give a national award to these 4 puppets for every Wednesday telling the country, social distancing, wear a mask and get vaccinated. Wow, that was your contribution, PNM.
And let me say finally here, you had some words, some advice to THA Chief Secretary Farlene Augustine as far as using those vessels to protect the borders. Because, I mean, basically he's fed up. He's fed up. I mean, Tobago is recording a record high number of murders. And I guess he believed doing something is better than doing nothing. But you, of course, had some advice to him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's a desperate man. He's desperate. He's frustrated. He has seen that the PNM has done nothing for Tobago. And let me add, under the People's Partnership, when we acquired these 6 Damen vessels, there was one that was actually called the SS Speyside. It was called that specifically to secure Tobago. It also had interceptors on that vessel. These 6 vessels have 6 interceptors. They could be used. We had the police marine branch that I set up that was set to also secure Tobago. So the police marine branch would have secured from the shoreline to 2 miles out the Damen vessels that the PNM have refused to use because of bad mind due to their pettiness, have all been moored in Stobles Bay for 9 years. Yet the ignorance of Colin Imbert and the PNM to purchase 2 more hostile vessels, because you know PNM love to purchase vessels, whether it is OPVs, whether it is Sioux. There were also 6 hostile vessels they purchased in 2007, and people could go to Hartscott. It lasted 2 months, and those vessels, hundreds of millions wasted. So we had the system to be able to secure Tobago. What Farlene Augustine is trying to speak about, you can't put Coast Guard officers in a pirogue, because if it is that you have to intercept, that vessel must move 1.5 times faster than the vessel you're intercepting. A pirogue, because of the lack of maneuverability, because of the capability that they don't have the shocks, the cushions to absorb the pressure, these sailors could damage their backs. I was on a patrol as a minister with a Coast Guard vessel, and one of my soldiers, my security, he went 6 feet up in the air. His spine virtually snapped, and he was out, and we had to fly him to Miami for 6 months. You cannot be able to endanger our officers, our personnel, unless you provide them with the right tools, the equipment, the technology. So that is what must be required. Stating that we must throw some sailors in a pirogue is similar to stating if we don't have police vehicles, just get some PH vehicles and throw the police officers into vehicles to patrol. You don't do that. So what I could advise Mr. Augustine is the same way that Tobago was the safest ever under the People's Partnership, especially 2013 to 2015, and as when I was Commissioner of Police. We can do the same again for Tobago. So Tobagoans, remember, on that day when you have to grade the PNM, it is on election day, and to all the Trinidadians who also have to make that grade, remember, you are the one that will have to make that decision to grade them, not Stuart Young. And make sure that grade that you put is the grade that is going to decide the direction of this country for another 5 years.
Thank you so much, Mr. Griffith. Always a pleasure. Keep up the good work, and best of luck to you and your entire team. Thank you so much.
Thank you.